We're back. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba bum ba dum la 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 bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum bum ba da 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 da. Hello, my friends. Hello. You hear how hoarse my voice is? We had so much fun this weekend. Leanne was there. I finally met her. This was the class of the Academy, class of 22. We had a big party in Florida. People came from all over the United States. It was so much fun. And I lost my voice. And it came back again. And then I lost it again. Yes, it was one heck of a weekend. 70 plus people from Canada and all over the US, and one of the students from Manila. Yes, my friends, this lovely woman with her family came all the way from Manila. You know, the other side of the earth, the other side of the globe. And we all convened together at a really fun restaurant on Saturday. And there were, oh my gosh, we were just after meeting each other through the last year plus year in some cases, because many of these people were clients of mine for the last 10 years, 5 years, and I'd never met them in real life, and I got a chance to meet them. It was like holding their faces. Oh my God, let me see your face in real life. It's so nice to see you in real life. Oh my gosh. It was fantastic. Wasn't it, Leanne? Wasn't it? Yeah, you get to meet Rachna. I met Leanne and Rachna. And see who else was here. Who's here today? It was fantastic. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we do this. We meet and we talk about homeopathy. And I teach you what I know, and then you come in and give me your little bits and pieces. I love to hear people's experiences with these medicines. And then again, for those of us who know each other, those of you who do know me, hello, dear friends. It's so great to see you. Yes. Yeah, lots of great cogs, says Kate. You bet. Oh, so many wonderful people. I mean, people that I've seen on the screen because we've been meeting for a whole year. Every Friday, it's live, and then and we all look at each other, and it's all one-dimensional, and then, holy cow, then we get to meet. Really brought me to tears. It really did. Brought me to tears when I looked out over the sea of all those incredible faces. Very, very touching. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about sore throats because they're coming, right? I mean, this is the season, especially for children. Adults get them too, of course. But for those, I'm really going to talk a little bit more about kids tonight because I think it's such a common condition, and it's so easily met with harsh drugs of commerce, drugs of commerce, patented drugs, antibiotics that destroy the gut so that the child, after taking a couple rounds of it, sometimes only one round, can't eat dairy anymore, not able to digest gluten. Everybody always wonders where that comes from. Where's that coming from? Well, there's one part of it, of course, the food is not as good in general. But for those of us who really source our foods, and many of you are the ones who do that, if you source your foods and you've been getting non-GMO grains all these years, and you've been buying raw milk, or at least the finest quality organic milk that's not ultra pasteurized, and you're wondering, how is it that these members of my family can't eat this stuff. They get sick from it. They get bloated, or they get fuzzy headed, or they get they gain weight and can't lose it. Or Noreen, yes, hi, Noreen was there too. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Sorry, I'm just going to keep talking about it if you don't mind, because I'm still on a high from it and meeting all my like-minded students. It was just fabulous. Anyway, so we wonder where this all comes from, right? It comes from antibiotics, comes from prednisone, comes from these suppressive drugs. And suppression is the key word, my friends. We do not want to suppress symptoms. We love symptoms. Why do we love symptoms? Hello from Louisiana and Texas. Yeah, wouldn't treating adults be the same thing as kids? Yes, it would be, except that children are more prone to getting sore throats and strep throat, etc. Yes, they are. It is the same. They're more prone. Children are more prone, and it is part of catching childhood illnesses, and for many children. Alrighty, so suppressing symptoms is like, when the light goes off on your car that says check engine, check engine, check engine. To suppress that symptom would be like opening up the hood, going in there with scissors and cutting off that wire. Because what an annoyance. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the sign that tells me that something's wrong. I don't want to see the symptom of something that's deeper, that needs to be addressed. So I'm just going to cut it off. That's what drugs do. Now, I'm not going to tell you that there's never a time when drugs could be valuable. There are times when drugs can be valuable. As I always say, if you've been hit by a Zamboni, you're flattened out, and you're here and your arm is across the ice rink, you're going to need general anesthesia for surgery, wouldn't you say? Yeah, there's a time and place. But don't we want to save those times and those places for when it is truly needed, and not just, let's just use it for this sore throat, or let's just use, it's strep, so you must need an antibiotic. Oh, it's otitis media. Ear infection. Oh, conjunctivitis. Antibiotic, acne, antibiotic. That's what we're trying to get away from. And that's where we give the power where it belongs, back to the mother and the grandmother and the family. We need to have this information. Then what we're going to do is we're going to learn a handful of remedies tonight for sore throats. And you're going to see that the symptoms matter. And if we cut off the symptoms with these suppressive, patented drugs, synthetic drugs of commerce, we don't know what to do, because we don't have the symptom to show us. The child's still sick, but we don't know what to do. Now, will the antibiotic clear it up? Yeah, it'll if it's a bacterial infection, it will. It'll kill the bacteria. You bet. Do we want to kill bacteria? Not really. We want to correct the condition. We don't want to just kill the bugs. That's like spraying the tree with pesticides. No, let's strengthen that tree so that the bugs don't go after that tree. It always slays me when I see people who are so myopic, and in a good way, and eat only organic, but when they get sick, those antibiotics are right there. They would never eat meat with antibiotics in it. They would never eat vegetables or fruit that have pesticides, and it's the same thing. Only it's even more personal because we're putting it directly into the mouth. All right, so let's talk about these sore throats, shall we? The one sore throat remedy that is so well known, because it helps with sore throats that are really painful. And the child, I'm going to use a child, okay? Because more often than not, adults don't get sore throats as often with fevers. Adults don't get fevers the way children do. It's not as common, and it's much more debilitating for an adult, of course. So we're going to look at a medicine that is for redness, red throat, red. Heat, really hot, it's burning, it's really, really painful. And then the heat can also be the heat of a fever, very high fever, good, good, strong fever. Now, we're not going to use these medicines to suppress these conditions. We're going to use these symptoms to tell us what remedy to use to correct the condition altogether. So, it's red, it's hot. Sometimes the child is really red and hot, or maybe just hot with a high fever, yet their hands and feet are cold. These are all indications. Oh, look, everybody knows already. You guys are unbelievable. Harry, you got it. Cheyenne, Paula, Monica, belladonna. Belladonna is our beautiful remedy for beautiful lady is what it means from the Latin to English. But it's belladonna, and it is one of our best medicines for when the sore throat is red, the child is hot, sometimes the hands and feet are cold in spite of the body being quite hot, and it's quite painful. And so it's great for when there's tonsillitis too. So the tonsils can be red. Hopefully the child still has his or her tonsils, right? I mean, I got my tonsils removed when I was 3. I would like to get my tonsils back and my money back, my parents' money back. It was the stupidest thing ever done to me. One of the more stupid things. We love the tonsils. And if they get infected, so they get infected. We treat it. We correct it. We don't remove them. I mean, what if you were getting, what whitlows are, those little infections that people get around their nails? They get a little infection, or they get boils like on their back or something. It's infected. Do we remove the fingernail because it might get an infection? Do we remove big chunk of the shoulder because the person gets boils on their shoulder? Of course not. That's at best stupid, at worst barbaric. No, we make the correction, okay? So, how do we make the correction? We use belladonna. Belladonna 30 is one of my favorites. It's a beautiful medicine. And how often do we use it? Well, if the pain is really bad, and it most likely is, and the fever is really high, and it most likely is if it's calling for belladonna, and the tonsils are really red and swollen and sore and very painful, and it's worse on swallowing. It's worse on swallowing. And also, but there's a desire to swallow. They want to swallow, but every time they do, it hurts. And there's an intensity to it, and it's often one of the best medicines for strep. We're going to use belladonna 30, and we're going to use it in the beginning. We could use it every hour if we needed to in the first couple of hours. And then after a while, then we can go to every 3 hours, every 6 hours. And how do we know whether or not we should cut back and kind of taper off to how frequently we use it? Well, we watch the child. If the fever is better, the fever's gone, and now the child is playing and she's no longer crying from the pain or yelling out because it hurts every time she swallows, then we know we're moving in the right direction. So we still use it, but not as frequently. We still use belladonna, but not as frequently. How long does this take? Well, it takes about, usually a day. Sometimes we'll see a change with the first dose. Sometimes we don't see a change until the 3rd dose, or the 4th, or the 5th. Or we see now that by the 3rd or 4th dose, things are really moving along nicely. And now we just have to keep at it for another day or so. It's really beautiful stuff. Belladonna 30. Yes, own it. Make sure you own it. Very important remedy. It is more often for an acute, right? This is an acute situation. This is not something the child lives with every day, right? Leanne, love it. Red, rapid, intense. Red, rapid, intense. Red, hot, rapid, intense. Yes. Rapid onset is what Leanne is saying. It's a quick onset. 1 minute the child is fine. The next minute, bam! Holy cow, that child is sick. That, my friends, is belladonna. Now we also have hepar sulf. There are actually 3 words. It's hepar sulfuricum calcarea. Hepar sulf is the slightly shortened version. HEPAR, sulf, SULPH, calcarea, if you use the 3rd word as well. I like this in a 30 as well. And hepar sulf has the sensation as though something's stuck in the throat. And what is it that's stuck in the throat? The child may respond by saying, it feels like there's a stick or a thorn stuck in my throat. And that too can be a painful sore throat. Some sore throats are not that painful, but you will know because the child will tell you. And I'm going to tell you, whether it's a child or it's an adult, don't ask too many questions, my friends. I know you have a lot of questions that need to be answered, but get them through your observational skills. Observe, observe, observe. You can see, you don't have to say, does it hurt every time you swallow? Then the child is already primed to think that's the answer you want. She already knows, or he already knows, gets an idea of what you want the answer to be. And that's not good. You don't want them acquiescing to that. What you want is the reality, the real symptoms, so that you can choose the correct medicine, right? Because we're going to use the symptoms. We're not going to suppress them. We're going to use them. They are gifts. So instead, watch the child. If every time he swallows, he winces or he cries out, it's worse from swallowing. You don't have to ask, is it worse from swallowing? It is. You can just see it. You don't have to ask, do you feel hot? Well, you go like this and you feel the child. Yeah, this child is really hot. And we know it's going to be belladonna-ish, or a remedy that's like belladonna. We'll talk about another one in a minute. If it's the child's got cold hands and feet, the body's hot, and they'll go, are your hands cold? Are your feet cold? No. Don't ask that. Just feel the hands. Let me tell you, not only does that eliminate the possibility that the child or the husband or the friend or the mother-in-law will, it eliminates their propensity to want to please you with the answers that you might be looking for. They're thinking that way. But it also gives them the clear notion that you care. You're paying attention. You're watching. You're touching. You don't have to stare. You go about your duties throughout the day, and then you watch. And then you come back and you do your duties and you watch from a distance. And if the child is throwing the covers off, then the child is hot. So if the child is covered up and I want more blankets, then you know the child's cold, right? That's the way we're going to look at this. Okay. Now, one of my next favorite medicines, and I'm going to urge you, look up Hipersulf, look up belladonna, look them up in your materia medica. You need to know these medicines, my friends, if you have anyone in your family who's prone to sore throats, including strep. Then you're going to look at the next one that I just love this medicine. It's the Mercuriuses. Mercurius Sol, Mercurius Vive, Mercurius Sin, CYN, Mercurius Sulf, Mercurius Iodatus. The Mercurius remedies are really great for the mouth, the gums, the teeth, the throat, the tonsils. Maybe that's what I should take for my hoarse voice. No, actually, hoarse voice, I could take something. It would probably be phosphorus because I overspoke. Could be roost tox. But I don't care. I'm not going to, just so you know, I'm not going to take a remedy because my voice is hoarse and I can't sing my little opening song because it's inconsequential. Why would I take a remedy for that? I just live my life. I only take remedies when something is really bothering me. Okay. All right. So Mercurius Sol and Mercurius Vive are not exactly the same remedy, but they're pretty much interchangeable. So if your kid says Mercurius Vive, or your kid says Mercurius Sol, you can use one or the other. But any of the Mercurius remedies often have this distinct dryness in the throat. The throat feels really dry, and that's part of the pain sometimes. But they can often have excessive saliva. So you can see that while they're sleeping, they're drooling, or they're sucking in the saliva as they speak, or they... you can hear the saliva in there. Sometimes if it's very severe, they're actually spitting the saliva out in a Kleenex. I've had cases where the saliva is so excessive, they have to spit it out because they can't assimilate it fast enough. So strep throat, this is a great remedy for strep throat. Any of the Mercurius remedies, Mercurius Sol, Mercurius Fever, Mercurius Sulf, Mercurius Sin, Mercurius Iodatus. These are for ulcerations on the throat, ulcerations on the tonsils. And if you don't know what tonsils are supposed to look like, look at your child's tonsils. They have to open their mouth and say ah. And then when they say ah, the tongue drops down and it reveals the little puffy nodes. They're the lymph nodes, which are called tonsils. It exposes them. Now, what should they look like? Well, look at your husband's tonsils. Have him do the same thing. Look at your other child's tonsils. Look at your tonsils in the mirror. Go online. Look at tonsils. What should tonsils look like? Now you know what they should look like and what they look like now. And you can say, aha, there are white spots on them. That can mean strep. It's very red. They're proud looking, very swollen. All of that is really important. Now, somebody's asking, what's the frequency of Heap Yourself? It's all the same. When we're talking about an acute for sore throat and these kinds of infections, the frequency is going to be the same. And I would use most of them in a 30, to be honest. I've used them in 200s, but for the purposes of my students here on this level, I'm going to say 30. Okay. There are often lymph nodes that are swollen that indicate that we might need to use Mercurius remedies, any one of the Mercurius remedies. So I said it's like belladonna. There's a desire to swallow, but oh my gosh, it's painful when they swallow. All right. One other thing that's really important about Mercurius Sol, Mercurius Viva especially, that is there's often halitosis. So when moms often bring their children to the doctor, they know that the child is getting sick. The child's getting a strep throat. And the doctor, the pediatrician, takes a swab and says, no, there's no strep throat. And the mom says, no, this is strep throat. How does the mom know? Because she sees something in her child that she's seen before, or she's seen it in her older children or other children in the family, and she's seeing it repeated again in this child, and she smells the breath. The breath has a distinct strep odor. And once you smell that odor, you won't forget it. And so when the odor is strong, when there's a strong odor from the mouth, we're going to be thinking, especially when it's a sore throat, and there's also potentially a fever, and there's pain, etc. Everything that we've described about the Mercurius remedies, we're going to think Mercurius, right? That's the way we want to look at this. Now, I see someone saying something about postnasal drip. When there's a sore throat that is not related to an infection, and instead it's postnasal drip, and this is often that comes up when someone wakes up in the morning and they find that their throat hurts. And then once they get up and moving along, then the sore throat goes away. And that sometimes can be the sinuses draining all night, or the person sleeping with their mouth open and it's dry and it's causing an inflammation of sort. My first remedy, the first remedy I think of for that is Rhus tox. Rhus tox. Rhus toxicodendron. And I like that in a 30. Now, that one is not as likely to be for a child, although children can have sinus pain or, a postnasal drip. But that's a more common condition in adults. And so Rhus tox is all about a very important set of circumstances or symptoms that we don't allow to be suppressed, because if we allow them to be suppressed by a drug, then we don't have them to make our decisions on which remedies to choose from, right? So remember, these symptoms are gifts. They tell us what to do. So with Rhus tox, it's worse on first movement, worse in the morning at first getting up. Absolutely. Well, here's someone, she says she uses Hydrastis for postnasal drip. But now that's the postnasal drip. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the sore throat, although it can have that. But I like Rhus tox for the sore throat that's worse in the morning and better on getting going during the day. Okay. I love this. Thank you, Leslie. It's handy to have an otoscope to check your kids' ears since sore throats can spread, and get accustomed to seeing healthy eardrums. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I was actually going to buy an otoscope when I had my first son. And and I thought, well, I'm gonna, I should know, because I'm going to do this work. I'm going to figure out what it looks like, what the healthy eardrum looks like, and I'm going to be able to identify. But you know what? I never bought one. And you know why? Because he had an ear infection. I gave him belladonna, and he didn't get another ear infection. I mean, I expected to see repeated ear infections, because that's what I used to have as a child. That's what my husband had it too. Why is it this child's not getting repeated ear infections, nor did my next two children? They didn't get repeated ear infections. They get an ear infection, I give them remedy, and then they never had another one again. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that's the way it always works, but that's how it worked in my family. And for my children to have parents who had repeated, almost, for me, it was almost chronic, because I had so many ear infections and strep throat. I had it all the time. I expected my kids to have that. I didn't need the otoscope. I was just treating it with homeopathy. Thank you very much. All right. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Let's talk about the next medicine. I'm doing this quickly because I'm assuming, my friends, that you are going to your Materia Medica and looking these remedies up, particularly if you've got a child who's got this, or someone in the family's got this problem. You need to know the top remedies. These are not all of them. I'm giving you just the top, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top 5 remedies. There are others, and homeopathy always, if this doesn't act, then we use that. If that doesn't act, we use this. As long as you're using the about a 30th potency, a 36, 30, or 230 is my favorite generally, and you're using it frequently enough, and you know what to watch for, and you know when to stop, that's really what you need to know. That's all you need. And then you can move to either the next medicine if the first one didn't act, or if the first one did act, but now something new is approaching the condition. Now, instead of just a sore throat, now they've got, let's say, nausea. Then we go to a nausea remedy, right? We move on, we pivot. Okay, so the next medicine is a medicine that is worse, where the pain is worse on the left side. Now, somebody else brought this up earlier. They were talking about lycopodium, I believe, but I'm talking about lachesis. Lachesis, Lachesis. Some people pronounce it lachesis. I pronounce it lachesis. The person does not like to have anything around the throat. It feels very uncomfortable. When somebody is sick, we often put a scarf around the throat and around the chest to keep it warm and protected. The child does not want that, or the woman or the man or whoever's got this doesn't want that. They don't want a turtleneck. They don't want a scarf. They don't want anything around the neck because they feel choked easily. And this too, my friends, can have the sensation, not unlike he herself, of a sensation of a stick in the throat. But often it's more on the left side. So that kind of gives us an indication. And they really complain about this. And so instead of saying, does it feel like you wouldn't want to wear a turtleneck? No. Instead, don't ask that question. Get a nice cashmere scarf, silk scarf, wrap it around their neck gently, and see, but up against the throat, and see if they go, oh God, no, that feels horrible. Okay, there's your first indication. There's an indication that you may need to consider lachesis, right? All right. It's better. This is so interesting. Let me start with what's worse. When someone needs lachesis, it's worse from dry swallowing, but it's actually better from swallowing foods. So the throat feels actually, I wouldn't say it's necessarily improved, but it's not as grandiose a suffering when the person is swallowing food. So interesting, isn't it? That's where we're going with this. Where we're going with is we're using the symptoms. If you gave an antibiotic and an analgesic, you would have no symptoms from which to choose. You would not be able to decipher And symptoms, my friends, never lie. Symptoms always tell the truth, unless what you're observing is not a symptom, but a side effect from a drug the person's been given. If you're looking at a side effect, you don't want to be treating a side effect, although there is a time when we do that as well. But we're not talking about that at this point. What we're talking about is we want all the symptoms that are noteworthy to be considered. Hitting on all 7 cylinders tonight, says Harry. Hi, Harry. Hi, Harry. Spot on, Harry. Let's see what else. Those are my mighties. Let's see what my Facebook Live people are saying. Okay, I have a child with dry cough and fever. Belladonna worked fine with temperature, but the cough is gotten dry, and when I give Merxol, the temperature went high again. And this is with every remedy I try. The cough is dry. Well, what do we mean by a cough? Do we mean that the cough is in the throat it's dry, the cough is in the chest that's dry? So we have to kind of differentiate that. I'm going to tell you one more remedy that I have to dash off because I have a huge gateway class tonight. We've got close to 100. I think we had 99 people joining in tonight. So I'm really looking forward to this. And so for those of you who don't know about gateway, join my gateway study groups, my friends. That's how all of us have started in the homeopathies. We were in study groups. Okay, one more. I want to add this one more remedy, okay? A lot of times sore throats can come, or any illness can follow a condition that is emotional. Sorrow, grief. The dog just died, and then the child comes down with a sore throat. And it says they have this kind of a lump in the throat. They may not describe it as that, but they're saddened, they're in grief, and then they get a sore throat. That medicine, my friends, is usually Ignatia. Ignatia. So watch for that. Watch for sorrow, sadness. They don't have to tell you this. You know what's happened in this person's life, right? You already know. Now, how do I use Ignatia for a sore throat? I use Ignatia 200. I use Ignatia in I use these other remedies pretty much in a 30, but I love Ignatia in a 200. And so then I would use Ignatia twice a day. Love Ignatia, says Pamela. Rachna says Ignatia. You bet, my friends. You all know. Wow, has this time gone by fast? Holy cow. Keep studying. Stay curious. As you learn this, the angst will just adroitly melt away. Thanks, everyone. God bless you all. See you next week. Bye now.